A very useful skill used in many industrial type jobs is welding. Working in a fab shop for the past 2 years, I've learned uh, many important facts about welding, watching others do it and performing it myself. There are many important steps in order to weld in a safe way, and today I'll tell you some of those steps. The first step to welding is preparing before you start. You need to have the right protective gear. You need to have long sleeves, that way you don't get burned up, because after several 10 seconds of welding without long sleeves or long pants, you'll be burnt, pretty much sunburnt, but it feels 10 times worse. You need long gloves, that way you don't get burned up on your arms, because as you're welding it sends off buckshot, and it's about 2,000 degrees when it hits your skin. It doesn't feel good. You need to have your machine set correctly with the right temperature, and you need to make sure everyone around you has everything that they need. You don't want to start to weld and mess someone's eyes up because they weren't expecting you to start welding right in front of them. Make sure that there's no flammable substances around you, send up any explosions or anything like that. You also need to have a fan blowing on you at all times, because whenever you're welding on different types of metal, it creates a lot of fumes that isn't good for you to breathe in. It can get you really sick, and it's not good for your health.
Breathe in.
The second step to welding is as you're starting your weld. First you strike your electrode, which is your rod. This is your rod right here. This is your whip. This plugs into the machine, and you also have a ground that comes out of your machine, and you hook it onto whatever metal you're welding on. You strike your rod onto the surface of the metal, and it causes an arc. You keep your rod about 1/8 of an inch off of the metal that you're welding on. That way it doesn't stick to it.
Well,
and as you're welding, just make a real steady, slow line, and this gives it a really strong weld. You don't want anything to break. If important jobs get sent off, and it's not good if they come back needing to be repaired because the weld wasn't strong enough. After about 30 seconds, your rod's going to be burned up by that point. You need to grab another one and tie into the end of your last weld. That way you don't have any weak spots. The third step to welding is the post weld. The surface of the metal that you have been welding on will be extremely hot, and you do not want to touch it by any means. It can cause 30-degree burns in no time. So either pour water onto it, let it cool down, or just don't touch it for a while. Then, after that, you're going to need to clean the weld. It's going to have flux and buckshot all over it. You can either use the grinder to clean that off, or a chipping hammer. From my own experience, research, and observation, these are the most reliable steps for stick welding. It can be a dirty job, but it's a type of work you can take pride in, and it's good to know.